All right, this is Second Peter's, the second epistle of Peter, chapter 2. I will be explaining verse 4. The topic is the angels that sin. So let me go into that. For if God spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell, and delivered them into chains of darkness, to be reserved unto judgment. The question is, who are the angels that sin? Well, we need to get into that, so let's jump right into it. Well, we know that angels, the celestial beings, that was created before mankind, we know that they do not sin. So the celestial beings, they do not sin. So it can't be talking about the celestial angels here, because the celestial beings, which do not need a body, nor can never perish, the celestials, they cannot sin. So we know it cannot be talking about the celestial angels. How do we know that? Let's go to Psalms 103, verse 20, and we'll come back to this. All right, so Psalms 103, verse 20 in the Old Testament. All right. Psalms 103, verse 20. Bless the Lord, ye his angels, that excel in strength, that do his commandments, hearkening unto the voice of his word. So we clearly see in Psalms 103, in the Old Testament, verse 20, that the celestial angels that do not need a body, that can never perish, that do not hunger, they excel in strength. And what else do? They do the commandments of the Lord. So the celestial angels, they do not sin. They do the commandments of the Lord, and they also listen into his voice of his word. And that's Psalms 103, verse 20. So when we go back to Second Peter's, the second epistle of Peter, epistle mean letter, the second letter of Peter, verse 2, chapter 2, verse 4, we know that these angels here cannot be the celestial angels, because in Psalms 103, verse 20, it says the celestial angels, they do not what? They do not sin. It say they keep the commandments of the Lord. So who are these angels here that sin? These angels here that sin are talking about the sons of God, the Israelites. All right, God's chosen people who he appointed the laws to and told them to keep, and eventually they failed from keeping the laws. Even though it says angels here, we have to look further, because angels in the Bible is not just talking about celestial beings. It's different perspectives to angels in the Bible. For instance, let me show you. Then we'll go back to Second Peter's chapter 2, verse 4. Now, let me show you, because you can't take angels to be, just celestial beings in the Bible. It's many perspectives to these angels. So let me show you this. This is 1 Timothy 3:16 in the New Testament. So we go back a little bit. We're going to go to 1 Timothy. Let's see. 1 Timothy 2:16. 1 Timothy 2:16. So this is the first epistle of Paul, the apostle, to Timothy, and we're going to go to 1 Timothy, right? 3:16. So this is 1 Timothy 3:16. Chapter 3 and 16 verse. It says, without controversy, great is the mystery of godliness. God was manifest in the flesh, justified in the spirit, seen of angels, preached unto the Gentiles, believed in the world, received up into glory. So what it's talking about in 1 Timothy chapter 3:16, it says, without controversy, great is the mystery of godliness. God was manifest in the flesh. Now, when they say God was manifest in the flesh, this is talking about the Messiah, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, who we know as Yahweh Shai. So this is talking about the Messiah. Some call him Christ. He was manifest in the flesh. He was justified in the spirit. And he was also seen of angels. So who are these angels here that he was seen of? These angels here, according to 1 Timothy 3:16, these angels here who he was seen of is his disciples. Justified in the spirit, seen of angels. He's talking about his 12 apostles. They was classified also as angels. And they went and preached into the Gentiles, which were Israelite foreigners. See what I'm saying? So when you see the word angel in the Bible, do not take it to be just one direct subject or one direct perspective, because angels can be talking about celestial beings, and it also can be talking about the Israelites. And right here we know that all of the Messiah's 12 apostles, they were Jews. They were Israelites. And he was seen of angels. This ain't talking about celestial creation. It's talking about he was seen of his 12 apostles, man. You see? So here's another one. Now, when you look into angels in the New Testament, when you look into angels, you will see the Greek word angelos and the Greek concordance. You will see angelos. So let's head over there. Here's the strong concordance, the strong, exhaustive concordance of the Bible. This takes you back to the Hebrew and the Greek, so you can see what was there before the Bible was modern day in English. And so let's go back to the New Testament, the Greek dictionary of the New Testament primarily written in Greek. And when we go to that term angel in Greek 32, it says angelos. So that's how you would say angel in the Greek, angelos, angelos. So angelos, what is that? It says angelos is a messenger. So this is what we say today, angel. But they were really called messengers. Today we say angels, but in the ancient world, they was known as messengers. So when we go back over here to First Timothy chapter 3, verse 16, it says, really, the Messiah, Christ, who the world calls Jesus, God was manifest in the flesh. That's talking about the Messiah, who was justified in the spirit, and actually he was seen of messengers. But they have angels here because the Bible have went through several translations. But it really said, according to the Greek text, angelos, which was messengers. So he was seen of messengers. Now, who are the messengers of the Most High? Who are the messengers of the Most High? Well, let's find out. Who are the messengers of the Most High? Let's go to Psalms in the Old Testament, 147, 19 and 20. Who are the messengers of the Most High? Because messengers is another word for angels. This is Psalms 147 in the Old Testament, beginning with the 19th verse. Let's see who are the messengers. Psalms 147, verse 19. He showed his word unto Jacob. So his word was showed unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. See that? Psalms 147, verse 20. He has not dealt so with any nation. And as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord. And so we can see who are the messengers, aka angels of the Lord. It's Jacob, because he showed his word to Jacob. So Jacob would be his messengers to deliver the word to the people. You see, so he showed his word to Jacob. So if he showed his word to Jacob, he holds Jacob responsible for delivering his word. And when you deliver something, you is known as a messenger. So Jacob is the Israelites, and that's who he showed his word to. So who are the angelos, the angels, the messengers? It's Jacob. Now, keep in mind in Psalms 147, verse 19, he did show his word to Jacob, right? So now let's go to Hebrews in the New Testament 2 and 2. Watch this. So Hebrews in the New Testament 2 and 2. And watch this. This is the book of Hebrews. Paul wrote the epistle. Another epistle Paul wrote to the Hebrews, the Jews. So this is Hebrews 2 and 2. Chapter 2, verse 2. And it says, For if the word spoken by angels, see that? So the word was spoken by angels. Now we showed you in Psalms 147, verse 19, in the Old Testament, who did he show his word to? It said Jacob. For if the word was spoken by angels, we know them angels is not talking about celestial beings. The word was spoken by angels in terms of messengers who are Israelites. We showed you that in Psalms 147, verse 19 in the Old Testament. He showed his word unto Jacob. And this is the same word in Hebrews 2 and 2 that was spoken by angels. So who are these angels here? Messengers in terms of the Israelites. So for if the word was spoken by angels, was steadfast, and every transgression and disobedience received a just recompense or reward. So what I'm telling you, when you see that word angel in the Bible, you cannot assume that it's just talking about celestial beings throughout the whole Bible, because angels have many perspectives. It can be talking about the celestial beings, and it can be talking about the earthly beings in terms of the Israelites, which was Jacob. For if the word spoken by angels. Now this word, which is the Bible that was spoken by the Israelites. It was written for this Bible is all about the Israelites. The word was spoken by angels. Isaiah, Ezekiel, all these will be referred to as angels. You see what I'm saying? Paul, which wrote 75% of the New Testament, he would be an angel. You know what I'm saying? John, the disciples of Christ, they would be angels. We know Luke and Mark were not disciples, but like Matthew, they would be known as angelos, messengers, angels. Malachi, which was one of the minor prophets, they would be known as angelos, messengers. Zechariah, another one of the minor prophets, would be known as angelos, messengers. Zephaniah, another one of the minor prophets, would be known as angelos. Habakkuk, another one of the minor prophets that would be known as angelos, messengers. Nahum, minor prophet, that would be known as messengers, angelos. Micah, another one of the minor prophets that would be known as angelos, messengers. Jonah, Amos, just going on and on, going all the way back. Showing you guys. Hosea, Joel, all these minor prophets that would be known as what? Angelos, messengers. Daniel, a major prophet that would be known as angelos, messenger. Right before Daniel, Ezekiel, he's known as angelos, a messenger. I mean, just going all the way back. I don't want to go all the way back. But Lamentations, you know what I'm saying? Lamentations and Jeremiah, that which go hand in hand. He would be known as angelos, a messenger, one of the major prophets. Isaiah, angelos, a messenger, one of the major prophets. Going all the way back. Psalms that was written by Asaph, King David. You know what I'm saying? Like messengers. Job, messengers, angelos. Nehemiah. All these prophets going all the way back, man. So, guys, it's not, far-fetched to see that when we, let's go back into 2 Peter's. When we come across 2 Peter's, verse 4, and it says, "For if God spared not the angels that sinned," we need to know which classification of angels it's talking about, because these cannot be the celestial angels, because the celestial angels cannot sin. We showed you that in Psalms 103, verse 20. They do not sin, they do the commandments of God. So these angels right here, you know what I'm saying, these would be angelos, messengers, which was the Israelites. And eventually what happened, the chosen people, the Israelites, also they was known as the sons of God. Before they received the name Israel, they sinned. And what did the Most High do? He cast them down to hell. Now, what does that mean when he said he cast them down to hell? Basically, he brought them from the position of rulership, from the position of royalty, from the position of kings and queens, down to peasants, peons, not having a pot to piss in. So they fell from royal highness to inferiority. That's what it means. He cast them down to hell. That's what it means. These angels, angelos, messengers of the Israelites, when they broke the commandments, God brought them down from ruling to being servants and slaves in terms of down to hell, and delivered them into chains of darkness to be reserved into judgment. So he delivered them into chains of darkness. Now, chains of darkness is in reference to slavery, incarceration. He delivered them into chains of darkness to be reserved into judgment. Chains of darkness is servitude and slavery. Let me give you an example of this. So these Israelites that sinned, angelos, messengers, was cast down to a low position. They was taken out of kingship and queenship and cast down to being servants and slaves, working for other nations. How do we know that? Hold that, and let's go to Lamentations 2 and 1 in the Old Testament. So right after Jeremiah, you got Lamentations, right? And we will get the over entering understanding. Now here it is, Lamentations 2 and 1. It says in the Old Testament, Lamentations chapter 2 verse 1. How had the Lord covered the daughter of Zion with a cloud in his anger? The daughter of Zion is the Israelites, the Israelite nation, the chosen people that was appointed by God to do his will, and they did not do it. So what he did, the Most High, the Lord, covered the daughter of Zion, the Israelites, with a cloud in his anger, and he cast down from heaven into the earth. He took the Israelites from out of a high state of position. He took them out of kingship and queenship. He took them out of their royal highness, and he cast them down from heaven into the earth. What does that mean? They no longer kings and queens anymore. They don't no longer possess royalty anymore. They have given a hand to their enemies and servitude and slavery. He cast them down from heaven. You don't have it made anymore. See that? You was cast down from the top of the mountain to the bottom, to the earth. The beauty of Israel. See that? See, so he cast down from heaven into the earth the beauty of Israel. What was the beauty of Israel? The beauty of Israel, the beautiful thing about Israel back then, they was ruling. They was kings, they was queens, they had princes, you know what I'm saying? They had it made. Imperialism, you know what I'm saying? They was on top. Israel, that's the beauty of Israel. When they wasn't slaves, when they wasn't servants. When we wasn't called niggas, when we wasn't called all these derogatory names, when we wasn't giving a hand to the heathen, we was on top back then. That was the beauty of Israel, but not anymore because we was cast down from heaven into the earth. So to be cast down from heaven into the earth is to be cast down to hell, because we was cast down, in other words, from heaven into hell. The beauty of Israel, and he remembered not the beauty of Israel, and remember not his footstool in the day of his anger, because the Most High didn't pity us. So now let's go to back in the Old Testament. I'm gonna show you. Let's go to Lamentations, not Lamentations, but Leviticus. What is that? Leviticus 26:19. So this is Leviticus 26:19. I'm just trying to open your understanding up. Leviticus 26:19. All right, so here it is. Leviticus 26:19. And so this is Leviticus 26:19. Right? Now, what did the Most High tell the nation of Israel? I would break the pride of your power, and I would make your heaven, that rulership, when we was ruling, when we was on top, and all the other nations was beneath us. He said, I will make your heaven as iron and your earth as brass. What is he talking about? That eventually he was going to put the Israelites in servitude and slavery, man. So he took away our heaven. You see what I'm saying? I will make your heaven as iron. See that? Your rulership will be taken away, and I will make your burdens heavy. That's what he's talking about, as irons and your earth as brass. You ain't going to be ruling anymore because you broke my commandments. That's why he laid it out. In Leviticus 26:1, if you start from the top of Leviticus 26 verse 1, he tells the Israelites about making idols and stuff. He said, you shall make no idols, graven images, neither shall you rear up a standing images. You know what I'm saying? Standing images and stuff like that. You shall not bow down to him. He said, he told the Israelites to keep the Sabbath. He told the Israelites to walk in his statutes and his commandments. See what I'm saying? And he told them if they did the right thing, that basically they would be blessed. But then right here in Leviticus 26, you can see Leviticus 26 and 14, he says, but if you will not hearken unto me, basically, if you don't want to listen to what I've commanded you to do, Israel, he says, if you will not hearken unto me and will not do all these commandments, basically, you ain't want to listen to nothing I'm telling you. He says, and if you shall despise, hate, if you shall despise my statutes, or if your soul abhor my judgments, so that you will not do all my commandments, but that you break my covenant. See, you reject what I've told you to do, and you don't want to listen and break my covenant. What he says in Leviticus 26:16, I will also do this unto you, and I will even appoint over you terror. See, so now you're gonna be intimidated, you're gonna be in fear, you're gonna be in terror, consumption, you're gonna burn in all that shall consume the eyes. You know what I'm saying? Sorrow of the heart, sowing your seed in vain, and your enemy shall eat it. Basically, the other nations was gonna trample us and take our royalness. And then he says in Leviticus 26:17, he was going to set his face against us. So he wasn't going to be on our side anymore. He was going to set his face against us. And he was going to cause the Israelites to be slain before the heathen, their enemies. And that's what you see today with these white cops killing these blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. And he said also, they that hate you, they don't have no respect for us. These other nations, they hate us. They that hate you, they shall reign over you. And that's exactly what happened. We went from being kings and queens to being servants and slaves. And the other heathen nations got above us and they reigned over. They still reigning over us. They shall reign over you, and ye shall flee when none pursue it. So what I'm telling you is this right here. We fell from kings and queens to peasants, servants, and slaves. And now the heathen is reigning over us. So we actually fell from heaven to hell. It's a metaphor. It's not the heaven and hell Hollywood been telling you. So when you go back right here to 2 Peter's 2 and 4, these angels were the Israelites, angelos, messengers that sin. How did they sin? What is sin? What is sin? 1 John 3 and 4. Check that out. Sin is the transgression of the law. So Israel, angelos, messengers, was rejected the laws of the Heavenly Father, which is sin. And they end up being cast down to a low life, a low reality, third class. You know what I'm saying? You're not A anymore, you're C. He cast us down to hell. What is that? Servitude, slavery, and delivered them into chains of darkness. You know what I'm saying? Rough conditions, chains of darkness. You know what I'm saying? Hard bondage, chains of darkness. Chains of darkness is unfavorable conditions. Chains of darkness, because there's nothing we can do to get out of this servitude and slavery. Chains of darkness to be reserved unto judgment, until your death, man. You get what I'm saying? So there's nothing that we can do to escape this servitude and bondage that the Heavenly Father put on us because we broke the commandments. So if you thinking you can get out of this servitude and bondage, think again, because this is what Deuteronomy 28:16 says. There's nothing you can do to escape this misery. Israel, we broke the commandment, so this is the reality. Deuteronomy 28:68, it says, and the Lord shall bring you into Egypt again. We was in Egypt the first time in Northeast Africa. We exited out of Egypt, went into the land of Canaan, got into the land of Canaan, broke the commandments. Now we're in Egypt again. Now what is Egypt? Egypt means bondage. So whether you in North, Central, South America, whether you in the Caribbean islands, if you're an Israelite, wherever you at, that's your Egypt again. That's your land of bondage. You see, with ships, and we know this is talking about primarily the transatlantic slave trade, because the so-called Negroes and Native Americans was taken into servitude with ships. They took Negroes from the west coast of Africa to the shores of America, dealing with the transatlantic slave trade. You know what I'm saying? 1619, when you had these slaves to arrive, Jamestown, Virginia, and then they took the Native Americans from North Central and South America to Spain with ships. So basically, Egypt means a place of bondage. You know what I'm saying? And so we went there again with ships. By the way thereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more. That's the homeland, Jerusalem. We haven't seen that land since we've been exiled into servitude of slavery. And there you shall be sold to your enemies. We were sold to the heathens, all these other nations, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You were sold to these other nations, the Chinaman, Japanese, the white man, East Indians, Arabs, the African man. You were sold to your enemies. For bond man, what is that? Slave man and slave woman, bond woman. And what he said, and no man shall buy you. So basically, no man was going to be able to redeem us from out of this circumstance. The only one can do that is the Most High. So what is that? Chains of darkness. No one can get you out of these chains of darkness. You in total chaos, especially if you don't know the truth. You know what I'm saying? You in chains of darkness. You see what I'm saying? What did the Most High tell Israel concerning the curses? What would happen to them in Deuteronomy 28? Also, what else he said about Israel? Watch this. He says also in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse, watch this. Deuteronomy 28 and let's see, about Israel groping. That's what he's talking about, man. So wait, let me grab that right quick. Deuteronomy 28 and what verse? Israel groping in darkness. Y'all know what I'm trying to get. I will get it quick in a hurry. I'm browsing through it now. Let's see, it might be over here. Deuteronomy 28:29. And thou shalt grope at noonday as the blind grope in darkness. See that? Because when you don't have knowledge of self, knowledge of your God, knowledge of your heritage, knowledge of your culture, knowledge of your language, knowledge of your native land, all of this stuff is in terms of you, blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, you blind, you spiritually blind, and you grope in darkness. And it says that the Israelites will not prosper in their ways. And thou shalt be only oppressed, slavery, and spoil evermore. The other nations will spoil us with their traditions, customs, and philosophies. And no man shall save thee. So if no man shall save thee, this is talking about chains of darkness, especially if you groping in darkness.